Well, hey everyone, I just wanted to jump on here real quick and give my thoughts and opinions. Now, if you follow my channel at all, you know I don't usually talk about cameras when they first drop. Now, I'm a person who is in the need of a camera upgrade, so I've been looking at two cameras specifically for my style of shooting, which in a sense, shortly, is I do photography, I do video. I also shoot some macro. So I've been looking at two cameras. The first one is the Sony A7C2, particularly because of its capabilities, but small compact size. Also, I was looking at the Lumix S52X because of what it offers and its price point. And when the Sony FX2 dropped and it was announced this morning, that camera kind of sparked my interest a little bit. Now, I did not receive this camera to test. In fact, my channel is probably a little too small to even be considered by Sony. I never got invited anywhere or such, so this is completely my opinion. There's a lot of YouTubers right now, including ones who got their hands on this camera, that are absolutely confused and bashing the Sony FX2. And the ones that are doing it, in a way, I can say, okay, maybe rightly so, because they are professional cinema photographers. They are professional, or at least people who review cameras all the time. They are not the type of shooter that I am. I have shot professionally photography and video for certain people and certain clients. I'm a hobby shooter and I am also a YouTuber. So for me, the Sony FX2 checks every box that I would consider in a camera, with the exception of 3 points. One, the Lumix S52X has open gate, so occasionally I do vertical recording as well as the horizontal for my formats, because I do post YouTube shorts and I also do minimal social media for other people. And also the recording to an external SSD drive to give me the higher recording capability and the ease of just unplugging that drive, plugging it into my iPad for video editing. Other than that, I kind of like the Sony FX2. It's got 2 card slots, which is great. It's got all the mounting points, so I don't need a cage for this, which would keep it a little more lightweight. The new EVF is something that I really could appreciate as a photographer and somebody who also does macro work. I had an elbow mount for my Nikon DSLR. Unfortunately, the prongs that held it back to the eyepiece on the DSLR had broke with extensive use, so I no longer have that, but it did also have a 2 times magnification on it, which is great when you're laying on the ground shooting macro, or if you got to get down low with shooting wildlife or landscapes, and you're able to look down into the camera if you're using it on a tripod, or if you just don't want that distraction of everything that's going on around you. You can hold your camera, look down like this, and all you're seeing is what's in the viewfinder. So I think that is a great option. 60p at a crop doesn't bother me because I really don't shoot that much slow motion. I can always do that in post. 120 at 1080p, I don't shoot 120 at all. No camera have I ever had ever did great 120p slow motion. So I tend to kind of do that in post, slow it down a little bit, speed things up a little bit. The stabilization that people are showing on the FX2, I hope there is a firmware upgrade to it, because it didn't look that great. I mean, you cannot beat the Lumix S52X, but I mean, other than that, this camera checks every box for the type of shooting that I do. Now, I also have a Canon camcorder, which I've come to appreciate. Unfortunately, that model is 7 years old now and is is really on its last leg. The flip out viewfinder no longer works on it. If I open it up, the thing goes absolutely crazy. So I can't change any of the menu options anymore, and I really can't use it for anything else. So I just use it as a streaming camera now. But I did like the eyepiece and the fact that I could adjust its angle, the way I could actually hold it up. That had the dual card slots. Also had a 30 gigabyte hard drive in it, so I didn't even need the SD cards. It had inputs on it, but they were not standard size. So I always had to get like the mini inputs, and that includes the hot shoe. That was even a mini hot shoe. But I also have other cameras that I've mounted cages to and a whole bunch of other things. So to me, for my style shooting and what I do for my church, various social media clients, what I do as a hobby and everything, that checks every single box for me. The major sticking point. Now, I could live without external SSD. I'm not using it now. Would it be nice? Yes. I could live without the open gate that the Lumix S5 2X offers, because I am not using it now. I've learned to make adjustments with my cropping, and I've other cameras like my Insta360 X4 that I can shoot vertical and use that. So, and I've learned to work around shooting vertical without using open gate, and learn to adjust the cropping. The major sticking point for the Sony FX2, where I really think they missed the mark on, was pricing. Seriously. Like I said, this camera is potentially a third option for me. The Sony A7C2 is cheaper in price, pretty much has the same thing, but it's not in the Cine line. The Lumix S5 2X, now that for about $3,000, which is the price of the Sony FX2 with the top handle, I can get every aspect of the S5 2X with its SSD recording, open gate, tons of video options. For the $3,000 price point, I could also get the 50mm, the 20-60, and the XLR input. Now, the XLR input on the Lumix is not a handle, but it just slides into the hot shoe and gives the same capability. So if I was comparing apples to apples, I would probably go for the Lumix S5 2X just because of the price point alone, and then find something to do about the EVF if I really wanted that flip up. To me, I think Sony would have done better off offering the Sony FX2 in the price range of about 1,500 or so, or to maybe 1,700 for just the body, not the $2,600. Include the top handle for about 2,000 max. For about 2,500, throw in a kit variable range lens like a 20-60 or something along that line, just a G lens. I think they would have been really competitive and brought a lot of people looking at this camera if they would have done something about the price point. Because like I said, I can get the Lumix S5 2X with all its bells and whistles, 20-60, 50mm, and the XLR input for $3,000. I don't know. I'm going to have to see a lot more come out about the Sony FX2. It's very early. It just dropped today. I don't have my hands on this camera. I've never got to hold it, even though I've been in stores and held the FX30 and the FX3, and I kind of love the ergonomics of that. I also held the S5 2X. So I think they need to do a lot with pricing, and I think they need to do a lot with a firmware update. The reviews are probably pre-production firmware, so which probably leaves a lot to desire about the dynamic stability that they were showing. But I mean, truthfully, price point alone, the FX2 would be a pass. Functionality for everything I do, absolutely love what Sony did with this, considering that they're using also older technology. I don't need all the tops of line bells and whistles. So to me, I think this camera, even though they say nobody really asks for this camera, I think this camera is something that I would actually consider, but at a lower price point. I would love to get my hands on this camera. I would love to shoot it, but my channel is way too small for somebody to even notice me. But I know a lot of you are going to disagree with me on this, but if you're a hybrid shooter, especially one that does macro, you will appreciate the flip up EVF. If you don't shoot a lot of slow motion, those specs that they're saying don't really matter to me. The dual card slot SD is fine for me because CF Express is expensive, and I would also have to get new card readers. The fact that it has mounting points, because the Cineline camera, I don't need to get a cage for it, so the weight comes down. And somebody who's older like me, who has back issues and facing other issues with aging regarding my joints and all that, especially when I do a lot of hiking or if I'm laying on the ground, I think this is perfect. Having a fan in it is even great, which is what I love what the Lumix line cameras offer, is having a fan in it. Because a lot of the action cameras that I use that have awesome stability, I wish every camera had the awesome stability of a action camera like a GoPro Insta360 or the DJI action cameras. I wish every camera had that stability, but I don't know. I just think, to me, the Sony FX2 is a viable option for people like me, but I will agree with others. They missed it on the price point. It should be a lot lower price than what they're offering. For $3,000, compete with the Lumix line. Throw in two lenses and the top handle, and you're going to be competitive. Give it a firmware update to correct some of the issues. Maybe add open gate, and then you're going to be very competitive, minus the stability that's coming out of Lumix right now. So yeah, that's what I gotta say about that. Like I said, I don't normally talk about brand new cameras on my channel because I still test out and shoot with various film cameras. I've got 3 other cameras over there, and I've got some older cameras. But somebody who needs a camera upgrade, especially for shooting video and the type of shooting I want to do, this could be a possibility, minus the price point. People are saying it's a confusing camera. I don't find it's confusing. I think the camera may be able to offer a lot for somebody who's a type of shooter like me, and that's my honest opinion. So we'll see you the next time.